Joined by Adam Hutchinson from Washington Lee University men's basketball. They were picked number 9 in this year's ODAC preseason poll. Coach, you've got several players back to your squad this year from last season's team, including a couple all-conference players. Talk a little bit about what you expect the progression to be for your team from last year to this year, and who you expect to be your leaders.
I expect the older returning players to be our leaders. I think we have an interesting spread of players. We have older guys like Andy Kleinline and Clayton Murtha who've played extensive minutes. I fully expect them to be at the forefront in terms of leadership. But then we have Roy McMillan, Nick George, and Devin Kearns, all of whom got a lot of playing time and have had pretty good games in the past year. And I expect them to carry some of the leadership load as well. We're going to be a pretty young team in that about half of our roster are first years. So we do have to figure that part out.
When you take a look at having a team like you have this year with the roster makeup where you have a lot of new guys, what is important for those, number one, those older players to have? What's the one key thing that they need to focus on to be leaders for the younger guys? But then what is that step that the younger players need to take so that you can start winning games in the ODAC?
Yeah, I think the older guys have to be willing to lead via communication and also by example. Some of winning is just not letting go of the rope, staying tough when you're tired and staying focused and stuff like that. And it's one thing to say it, but you also have to do it. Or it's one thing to do it, but you also have to tell people this is what we're doing. So it's a challenge, I think, for leaders on a team to be responsible for their own performance while also trying to positively affect someone else's performance. But I think our older guys are up to that task.
I've heard from several coaches today that they think last year the league overall was young as a whole. And so a lot of them are going to have sort of that same type of progression they're looking for from last year's players that were young, getting some time to taking that next step this year. What do you see in your view for the league from last year to this year, where we only had one team make it to the NCAA tournament, but this year fully expecting to have multiples get back to the NCAA bracket?
That's interesting. Last year was a strange year. We had some different kinds of things happen. I thought the league was strong. I thought that Roanoke or teams like that should have advanced to the NCAAs and didn't. And it's because we did beat up on each other. I fully expect that beating up on each other to continue. So, for example, I think Emory and Henry was 11-15 last year. I thought they were one of the 3 best teams we saw. And they were figuring it out as they went. And so when you look, some people took some L's, and it was Emory and Henry delivering them. And I think that this year, Emory and Henry will be in that role again. I see where Hamden City was picked, 7th, maybe 6th? They're always tough. They're going to bounce back. Macon was, I think, picked rather low. That's not going to happen. So I think there's still going to be a lot of confusion, and it's going to be hard for conference teams to get to 20 wins.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for joining me today. Good luck this season.
All right, thank you.